So it's not for kids.
Where are you at with Gangnam Style, by the way? Because I was listening to Gangnam Style on the way home.
I think I enjoy the original song still.
Yeah, I low-key think Gangnam Style slaps. And like,
it's good.
I've had my ups and downs with it, you know? Like, there was definitely a moment where I was like, too much. Like, can we stop? When it was like really all the time. But then I came around to it again. It's just a good song.
I have somehow become weary, however, of the Gangnam Style Linkin Park mashup.
Well, that's my fault. I apologize.
It's not just your fault. I've definitely probably overindulged in it on my own terms. I would do stuff like play that when I gave people a ride, which is probably why people don't ask me for a ride anymore. But
I told you, right? I played that one time in the car because my daughter liked Gangnam Style. And she was like, oh my God, this is better than the original. And then there was like a 2-month period where all we did was play the Gangnam Style Linkin Park mashup.
This might be controversial, but some of the songs on Hybrid Theory sound kind of samey already.
I think that's like the least controversial thing you've ever said on the podcast.
The Linkin Park fans are going to come after me, bro. I'm scared. But then to put the same exact lyrics on top of every single one of them because it's Gangnam Style, it like really makes it hard. Paper Cut is a great starter because like the Oppa Gangnam Style, like
Gangnam Style.
It goes really good, but I think like the third or fourth song in, which I don't even know what it is off the top of my head, but yeah, I think when the auto tune comes in too much and it just is like crawling is where it really, I can't stand it anymore.
No, but crawling's so funny because it's like
that's the part that drives me crazy listening to it now. I can't. Yeah, the chorus of like Psy going like like I can't.
You don't like the in the end when it's like I
think that one's like okay, but you know, it's like the Paper Cut's good, and then like the rest of it is like kind of just whatever.
I'm gonna say hot take. I think YMCA is a good song.
You know what? I totally agree. And actually, it's because of that Neil Cicierega like mashup where it's YMCA on the Inception soundtrack. Like it makes the vocals pop so hard and it sounds so emotional. And I literally feel it makes me want to go to the YMCA, which like
makes you want to cry. Yeah,
it's so good. Young man,
we're gonna have to do like a playlist for this episode.
Young man.
That song has an interesting history to it too. They were in the studio. The producer was like, "What the fuck is the YMCA?" And then the singer was just like, hold up, you don't know what the YMCA is?
Yeah.
And then instead of saying like, go ahead, tell me, the producer was just like, oh no, you're gonna write a song about this, aren't you? And he was like, yup.
Oh my God.
It's like, that's literally, and then after that, the YMCA is like, we're gonna sue you. And then they were like, what are you talking about? This is the best advertisement ever. And then they were like, nah, you're right, this is pretty good. So they like backed out of it. Yeah.
Most like incorrect move of all time.
Well, they realized they were like, whoa, actually, hold on. This is pretty good.
Village People. Okay. So here's the thing, right? As someone that grew up in the 2000s and heard like unsavory jokes too often, were the members of Village People actually gay? Because I don't remember.
I mean, they were definitely associated with the gay culture.
But was it just because they were disco or like what?
I'm looking it up. Hold on. They were not exclusively gay. The frontman was straight. The Native American character was gay. The cowboy was gay. The main producer / creator, Jack Morali, he was gay. And then Glenn Hughes, the biker / leatherman, very much was a leather daddy, but his personal life was private.
I need something that says daddy likes leather. So it's just one of those things where it's like they were disco and disco was gay, and then like Then there was like the anti-disco backlash, which was like just a dog whistle for being anti-gay. And it's like, oh my God. So some of them were okay. Because I was going to say, I feel like the resonance of some of the lyrics of YMCA hit because you can imagine some of them speaking to marginalized youth. He didn't write it as a gay anthem, but it definitely is one. Oh yeah, right.
Do you remember there was a time period, like especially like right around when I'm on a Boat came out, where like every YouTube video was like a parody of songs.
Every
like,
YouTube video.
And they're all cringe now when you look back at them. Like they were so funny at the time, but they were all cringe now. We got to bring that back. Like we got to do a YMCA parody. It's fun to listen to, shelf stable. Like completely flat face, like 100% invested in it.
We gotta send it as hard as the Joker could beatbox guy. No irony whatsoever.
No irony, 100% invested in the bit. We're just gonna do like a 2026 parody of YMCA for our podcast.
Okay.
We're bringing it back to YouTube 2005. We'll get like the Star Wars kid to sing on it with us.
Okay, sorry. I know we need to start the show, but you just triggered something in me, and I have to bring this other thing up. Like, and this can all just like be on the cutting room floor.
Wait, sorry. I'm thinking of another. Like, what if the whole episode is just vamping, and then at the end we're like, "This game good. This game good."
Haven't we suggested that as an Oops All Bits? Because I think Oops All Bits would actually be a good episode, and where it would be like a good episode where like people that skip the meat and potatoes would be really pissed. Although it'd be really funny if I did the meat and potatoes bit, like, and then we just continue, like, and never actually get to the game. It'd be really good to like not talk about a game until the very end. But anyway, okay. So that tangent aside, the other tangent I was going to say is that, you know, the song 1985, I think is the name of it. You know, like the one where it's like, she's still stuck in 1985, like that song.
Yeah. Stacy, Madonna, Waiting for Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah. That song was about a woman who has high school kids. She's like stuck in the past, and it came out in 2005. So we now have become the parents. If you were in high school when that song came out and you were like, oh yeah, my cringe mom that's obsessed with the 80s. Yeah. Today, it's been 20 years. Your kids are in high school. And you're the cringe one thinking about 2005.
They got to do like a Fallout Boy. We didn't start the fire.
So there are some on YouTube.
Oh no!
And I listened.
So you're saying we never left the cringe parody timeline?
I guess not. But like the one that I listened to was like actually not that bad, and they got the right stuff. And MySpace still was online or something like that. Like I can't remember what they said, what they had come up with, but it was all like that's real. Like, you know. Just a little moment to make people feel old is that you are as far away from 2005 as 2005 was from 1985.
Yeah, you are as far away from 2005 as 2005 is from Cleopatra and the pyramids.
Yeah.
Now take that in.
Remember 2016? That was 20 million years ago. How old do you feel now?
Welcome to Shelf Stable, an award-nominated...
Are you gonna do award nominated every time? Because like
I think so. It's really funny coming out of some dumb shit that we're saying to be like an award nominated. Welcome to Shelf Stable, an award nominated podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. We are still stuck in 1995. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the featured topic is Snake Draft. What do I mean by that? We're going to talk about gateway games, and we're going to do a kind of like, we're going to play a game where we define what the best gateway games are to ladder you up, to level you up in gaming life. Maybe you're already leveled up. How could you introduce your friend in the most efficient way possible? We're going to break that down for you. But before we talk about some of that, let's just talk about just some stuff we've been playing recently. Kenny, take us away.
Yeah, I got to play Sekigahara, the Unification of Japan from 2011. Designed by Matt Calkins and published by GMT. This is a block war game. For those who aren't familiar, block war games, you have a bunch of blocks that represent your army. Think kind of like Stratego, Then as you move around and you attack an area, you reveal to each other what you have on those blocks. So there's kind of some fog of war, some hidden stuff. I asked in the Discord, is Stratego a block war game? And Josh was like, no. So I'll take his word for it. But I don't know, like Stratego is kind of like baby's first block war game. Anyway, Sekigahara play Tokugawa as he has to deal with, Ishida, of course, yeah. Ishida is being a little shit, and you have to make sure that you control and become the feudal lord of Japan. And there's some really interesting flourishes they have in here where it kind of represents the historical time period. One of the cool Chromie features is that there's an alternate win condition where you can kidnap Toyotomi Hideyori, which was the son of Toyotomi, who was kind of the unifier at the time, the head of Japan. Toyotomi had hired Ishida as like the head of the army to fight against Tokugawa's forces, and then Tokugawa ultimately took over, with Toyotomi being kind of a key player. There's some interesting things as far as like how you distribute troops. Basically, you have these cards that are in 3 suits, and then you have the blocks that have the different suits on them. You can only activate and fight with certain troops if you play one of those cards during combat. And so there's like a bluffing of like, maybe they don't have the right cards to use their troops in a certain location and things like that. You kind of have to suss out based on how much they've used certain cards. Also, the troops are favored to come out in certain places, but it's not a steady deal. Like it's not for sure that this suit of troop is going to come out in this location. It's just more likely. As a result, you're like, well, I know that if they have a bunch of cards for this suit, they're probably going to attack on this front, but that's not always the case, and sometimes they have a nice mix. I assume this game is one that just gets more and more deep the more you play it. In the game that I was playing, there was definitely some, well, I don't really know how this works, but we're just going to see what happens kind of scenarios, you know. We knew the rules weren't the issue. It's just like, what's a good play kind of thing. But yeah, it's cool how much this game manifests the actual feeling of these feuding armies going to war and basically trying to control the entirety of Japan. The game culminated with the Ishida player attacking me as Tokugawa, and I as Tokugawa was basically assaulted at the home base and almost destroyed, but managed to hold it out because of a few clever plays on the side and also some luck. And then the Ishida player had basically gone all in. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to take one of the areas where your units spawn. From there, it was like GG. It was like a steamroll. But it was cool how there was like that epic turn of events and, you know, a few twists and some luck and some clever play resulted in like a big climax near the end of the game. Huh. I like when games have those arcs.
Yeah, yes. It's interesting because the theme of this game is very similar to Samurai.
Yes.
I'm assuming that for you, this is more evocative than Samurai already is.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think that Samurai is not evocative. I'm not one of the like Knizia theme haters, but Samurai is very conceptual, whereas like this has actual locations and representations of some of the armies in ways. Like the Ishida player has an extremely strong general that can have a bunch of troops rallying behind them, but the troops have to trickle in because Ishida was literally paranoid that this like general was too popular. He kind of throttled the way that the general would get support and get to act, and that ultimately caused him to have a pretty big handicap as well. Like there's a lot of cool things like that are in play. It's definitely more of a historical game than Samurai is.
Interesting. I mean, based on theme alone, I'm curious about it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think you might like this one. You know, you like Twilight Struggle quite a bit, and it's another 2-player card-playing game where you're kind of like making these big plays at certain key locations. You're thrown at each other without really having an option other than fighting each other kind of thing.
The resources are going to run out, and you need to take over. That's cool. That's Sekigahara at the Unification of Japan from 2011. Speaking of unifying Japan in the samurai period, I'm going to talk about a game that I basically foreshadowed here, Samurai, the card game, not the original. So the card game from 2009, once again designed by Reiner Knizia and published by Rio Grande Games. I think in collaboration with Hans im Gluck. Samurai the card game is literally Samurai, but it's a card game. It's a strange game because the first thing I want to say about it is I'm not entirely sure why it exists. It comes in a very large box. The box is like ridiculously thick for the contents of the game, but it may as well be because the game, when spread out on the table, is huge table hog for a card game. It kind of just like begs the question of like, what are we doing? Because like if this game's simulating another game, but it's doing a worse job, taking up more space, requiring a big bulky box to carry it around in, what's the value proposition of this? And I'm saying all this with respect to the game itself. Because if Samurai didn't exist and you just played this game, like if this was just reskinned as anything else, you just said it's Reiner Knizia and it's a card game, I'd be like, wow, this is simple. It still takes up a lot of table space, but like the gameplay is like straightforward and interesting and dynamic. And it has like a lot of the DNA of Samurai that is good. But then because you know that Samurai exists and because this is Samurai, the card game, why are we playing this and not Samurai? The most interesting thing this has going for it is that like the board is modular. It's being created. Every card is a square. And so you have a village in the middle, and then players put Samurai cards around that village, edge to edge. So when two Samurai cards of different colors create a sort of empty square that needs to be filled, you fill it with the top of the deck. And the top of the deck is always visible. In fact, it's visible even if you're trying to resolve filling in one of these squares. So you would draw the card, see what's coming next, almost Tetris style, help inform the decision about where you're going to put the village cards you're currently holding. Other than that, this plays like Samurai. You know, other than it being a card game with this weird, like the board is evolving as you play.
You know, usually you think of a card game as like a more portable version.
Right. This shares, I guess, space with stuff like, I'm thinking of Castles of Burgundy, the card game. Games like that where like, sure, the components are simplified down to just being a deck of cards, but like at what cost? Because like 90% of the game is still there. And so the portability of it is like really sus. But even Castles of Burgundy, the card game, is more portable. When it's actually getting played out, it becomes a table hog similar to this, but not even nearly to the same degree. So like, I really don't understand, like, again, I just mostly don't get what the value proposition is.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably just that Samurai was a big hit, so it's like, how can we capitalize on this? Let's make a card game. Is there a dice game?
Yeah, I wonder. It does kind of seem like that's Knizia's thing, is to be like, oh, hey, the game I already made, I'm going to make it again, but
this time it has an auction.
Yeah, like he makes the same game, but just with a different variety of components, I suppose.
Yeah.
It does seem like this was a precursor to a much, much more recent game, so new game alert, called Pollen, which is interesting.
I've heard of Pollen. I didn't realize that it was associated with Samurai the card game. That's interesting.
I mean, Board Game Geek literally says that Pollen re-implements this.
Oh.
If I were just judging this as a game in its own right, I'd be like, this game's really cool and interesting. It has this almost like zhuang we talked about recently, right? Like you're forcing your opponent to have to make a bad move.
Right.
And it feels like that's a lot of the times what you're aiming for with this. And so it captures a lot of the things that I like about Samurai, and it doesn't add any complexity. It arguably decreases the complexity because you don't have to set up the map with all the totems. So you do get to bypass that. The other thing I suppose that this has is a lot more, I think, tactics driven overall. I think that you can develop a very robust strategy in Samurai and think much more long term. And I don't think that this game allows for that to the same degree.
The Samurai the card game. All right, we're going to keep on with the GMT theme here. Tom, you and I got to play 1846. Choo choo, we're back in Train Corner. 1846, The Race for the Midwest. This is by Thomas Lehmann, by the way, the Thomas Lehmann. In addition to making great engine builders, he also makes 18XX games. The difference between 1846 and some of the other 18XX games that we've talked about on the cast is that it's like considerably more operational. I don't know if that's a good way to summarize it, Tom. It was very cool. And I have to play it again, but I feel like I really like 1846. I might even like it the most, or at least it's high up there.
Wow. Man, you give everything to Tom Lehmann.
Yup. No, but like, I think there are stock-focused 18xx games and there are Operation 18xx games, and they almost need to be judged independently.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's like better than some of the other ones that we said are really good, but in this category, I think it's like, oh, this is good. If you don't want to like deal with as much of like people screwing you over, and you just want to run your trains and you want to be efficient, you want to figure out the math and crunch the numbers, like this is a great game for this. There's all these like things that are baked into the rules that make it so that people can't be as mean. Yep. Like when you sell stock, it doesn't drop the value of the stock significantly. It's really hard to take over people's companies. You also can't force train rush because people can always like run their trains one more time before they go away. They're not in that like, oh my God, I'm screwed situation like you can be in other train games. If those are things that bother you, or maybe just things that don't attract you necessarily to 18xx, but you like the idea or have enjoyed 18xx aside from that, I highly recommend checking this out.
Right.
I don't know if you agree, Tom. Was that your kind of vibe?
Yeah, I mean, generally, what you said is true. It basically, like, this is a game that, compared to my limited experience with 18 Chesapeake, 1889 Shikoku, this is a game that is asking you, can you run a good train company? Can you make your train company profitable? It's interesting, I guess, like how much of the game is about just manage your trains, run good trains, raise money for new trains when you need it. And you can literally just stick with the same company from top to bottom. And there's like a lot less of, shall we say, the idea that you start a new company to buy out your failing company. Right. When that does happen, it's so much more flexible where you can basically still keep both.
I think there's so much puzzle of like figuring out how to run it well. And it's not like the other players don't matter. Like, I think there's a lot of screwing over, but it has to do with like how you run the rail, how you actually lay the tiles.
Right.
Getting in the way of people's plans versus, oh, I'm going to dump this on you or I'm going to sell this stock kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny because at the same time, I don't know if this is like a very gateway friendly game to the genre.
I don't think so.
And so it's in a weird spot because I feel like it's such a sidestep from the genre compared to the 1830 likes, right?
Right.
So I find that part of it kind of fascinating that this is like by requirements almost, this is nearly a level 2 into the space. And yeah, for my part, being someone who is maybe not as deep into the trains world as you have gone, I found this one very interesting. I feel similarly in that I'm interested to play it again, knowing what I know now. The only thing that frustrated me during our session of it was the fact that we couldn't just skip the bean counting and determine the winners based on who was obviously in what place. And I was grumpy because I lost so hard. It was very sad for me. I can own up to that. And I was just like, come on, like we already know our relative position. Do we really have to do all this counting?
Yeah. And to be clear, I don't think it's that we couldn't. It's like we decided not to. We like outvoted you. We should have a house rule that if you're getting near the end of the game and there's clearly not any move that will significantly change the numbers, then don't make changes. Just run it. Just send it.
Right, yeah.
Even if you might make $10 less, like, does that matter when your numbers are in the like 7,000s?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So there's that. There's that inevitability that makes it hard. And you know, as someone who famously hates Food Chain Magnate for exactly this, it's like when you're just like way, way, way behind and you know you can never possibly catch up, this game just instantly turns into a chore.
Yeah.
That's something that I was prepared to handle with this. I probably could have handled it better if I had not skipped lunch. So I'll also advise that people who want to play an 18xx game with their friends
eat food. Tom is a primal boy. He gets cranky when he doesn't have his food and he's hungry, and he gets groggy when he's tired. Like he's like the most like anime protagonist ass dude ever.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
All right. So what I want to warn people though, I guess if they're out there listening to this and they're thinking, oh, I should go buy an 18xx game and force my clueless friends to play it with me. Great. get a charcuterie board, make the food there, have a meal plan, get delivery type thing, because you don't want to pause these fucking games. They're already long enough, but a meal will have to be included, I think, because you're never playing this in like enough time between meals, right?
I agree with that. That was 1846 by Tom Lehmann.
Okay, Kenny, last one for this part. We're going to talk about T.I.M.E, Time Stories from 2015.
Young man.
Go T.I.M.E stories.
Did you like that callback because you talked about the mashup?
Oh, shit. Yeah, that is a really good joke. This is designed by Peggy, Chassenet, and Manuel Rozoy, and published by Space Cowboys. I have not technically completed a mission in Time Stories.
You did play it for a long time.
Yeah, I believe I've technically played it top to bottom twice. We failed the mission, if you will. The other thing to kind of note with this is that no one who was playing the game had read the rules. We were taught this game by our friend Holly. Thank you, Holly, for teaching us this game. She went off to play Hansa Teutonica while we struggled. There wasn't really like a lot of things where we were like not sure about rules or whatever. Like most of it made sense as far as we could tell, but there were definitely a few like kind of like fuck ups and things that we were probably messing up. Whereas if we had had someone who'd played before and knew at the very least like whether or not certain things did or didn't work that way, we might have avoided those issues. So it's kind of tough. At the same time, if you played it before, though, you know the story, you know, like all the secrets, the surprises. And so like, it's hard to like kind of enjoy that experience when you're effectively, you know, it's like watching a movie for the third time. You're like, I've seen this. And if it's a movie that you didn't care that much about, I don't think you're going to get that much out of it either.
Yeah, it puts the teacher in an awkward spot, that's for sure.
It's a challenging one to be the teacher on. Even if one of us had read the rules top to bottom and then was coming to this game, like hoping to teach the others, it's like, yet again, there's going to be stuff where, oh no, I'm experiencing this for the first time as you guys. And then you're like, I think that works the way it does based on what I'm reading. Anyway, this one's hard for that. So what is Time Stories, you might be wondering? The best way I could describe it is a point and click adventure version of Assassin's Creed. You are agents, I suppose, for some kind of something. I'm sure there's lore in the book, but it breaks it down for you at the beginning, and you get inside these time capsules and you're transported back in history, and you have to solve some sort of anomalous mystery something. And so I won't spoil anything about the campaign that we did. We did the one that comes in the box, which I think is called The Asylum. It's a game where you literally enter a room and you're given a card that reads off a description of what you see in the room. And on top of that, you lay out these 6 cards and they create a visual panorama. And then each player literally basically just clicks on the card they want to look more closely at. Each player is going to pick up the card on their own. And then you're not really supposed to say what happens, although I think there's caveats about certain things. Like sometimes you flip the card over and then you're suddenly locked into combat, for example. I'm pretty sure you can publicly play that one face out and you can tell the other players like, I'm locked,
Wait,
guys.
There's combat?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's like a cross between combat and skill checks. It's kind of both. The other thing is that you inhabit some person who allegedly existed in the past. And not all these are set in like the real world. Some of these are like fantasy worlds or whatever. So it's literally like across the multiverse type shit going on. But yeah, like you can get locked. I was playing like a character that could like seduce people pretty well. Like she was just really good at it apparently. And so there was like a skill check against a like butcher at one point. And then I ended up getting some free meat out of it. But my other option, I think, was to fight him or something. And there's just stuff like that. Like you can choose to fight or fuck, basically. And then you roll some dice and you get modifiers. So it's kind of like D&D in a way. Another game, I suppose, that's creating a role-playing like experience without any one player having to be the DM. And at the same time, it's being one of those point and click adventures. So
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, overall, yes. Because I was about to say the first thing I think people are going to think overall when they hear me describe this game is they're going to think, oh shit, that sounds like one of those big ass, complicated, overstuffed Kickstarter type bullshit designs that I hate. And I'd rather just be playing an Anti-Teacher video game. you might still want to just play video games instead. But compared to others in this genre that I've experienced, I feel like Time Stories is keeping it about as simple as possible while still having interesting developments in this type of game. Okay. You get these kind of jump scare moments. You get these exciting encounters and these clever combinations of items that work the way you would kind of expect. Like in general, if I had the thought like, oh, I want to do this, you kind of, I feel like it does not overstuff or overstay what it is set out to do.
Right.
And in fact, it almost is punishingly narrow in how much time you can really waste. You can't just be fucking around. You kind of just need to get through the story.
Yeah, it doesn't have time in the name for no reason.
Basically, if you lose enough times, it just kind of lets you enter a mode where you go infinite. I think you still can die in all the same ways or whatever, but like you're not on a literal time crunch anymore. I think you can just kind of go as long as possible unless all of you die at the same time. It's nice that it ultimately can like let you play it at a very casual level, but as designed, it seems like it wants to discourage that pattern of play for people, which I found interesting, and it was just surprisingly tight overall in terms of how much you could really get away with in the exploration. Do you like these games where you have to solve some sort of weirdness? I think this one is doing a lot of interesting things, and it's not throwing everything in the kitchen sink in. It's pretty lean for what it is, and I think it does a pretty good job.
That's Time Stories.
100 games to play before you die.
All right, Kenny, it's time to talk about the 100 games that you're required by law to play before you turn 100 years old. David Attenborough, we're looking at you. Game number 74 on that list. We're getting close. We're almost at the end here. Android Netrunner from 2012. This is designed by Richard Garfield and Lukas Litzsinger, published by Fantasy Flight Games. Kenny, why is this on the list?
We are not going to talk too long about Netrunner. We have talked about Netrunner a lot.
Just listen to any other episode, probably.
Listen to any other episode. This is one of our favorite games ever. But that's not the reason it's on. I mean, for one thing, it represents like the competitive LCG, which I do think is different enough that it warrants being on here in addition to Magic the Gathering. It's just a very different approach in terms of the philosophy around how they released and designed a lot of the cards.
The accessibility for sure is very different.
On top of that, it's like a really good demonstration of two-player asymmetric gameplay. And then lastly, it's just a game that's like unlike any other. It's really a unique experience that is very highly and well regarded. So I think that alone like warrants it being on the list. I had a hard time finding like recommendations for alternates to Netrunner.
Right.
Sometimes we try to hold off on games that are unique to themselves on the 100 list. But when they're like such an important part of the zeitgeist, I think they end up making it on. And so this is an example of one of those.
Yeah, I think the games that are in this space are all generally aping on what Netrunner is.
Yep.
Right. One of the newest ones that we have talked about on this show is Radlands. And that's a game that I think, again, like the biggest praise it gets is that people can compare it to this. Right. So it's just one of those games that is a Mount Fuji of sorts for the people who know.
We're approaching the fourth quarter of the list here. We are getting into games that you kind of have to sit down and really learn territory. And I think that's the biggest shortcoming of Netrunner. It's just there's a lot of words that are used to evoke flavor, but it makes it hard to learn. And then it's just a game that's not super intuitive sometimes. If you get through it and you get back to the other side and you gotten to a point where you kind of understand the flow and it's not just you know the rules, but you actually understand how it works, it's just such a rewarding experience.
Basically expect to put in a lot of work. It's like that meme of like the guy who's like digging for diamonds and he turns around at the last minute.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good way of describing it.
Don't stop when you've learned the rules because you haven't hit the diamonds yet. You know, you gotta go a little further in that for this one. And I think that's probably going to be true for a lot of the rest of the games in this quadrant.
I would agree. That's Netrunner. Check it out. Check it out.
All right. Well, enough bullshit, enough nonsense, enough yapping. It's time to get into a different kind of yapping, a bit of focused yapping, if you will. It's time to talk about the main topic of this week's episode, the meat and potatoes, the part of the episode that we found out some of our close compatriots literally skip to. They literally do be skipping to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, we've always joked about that, but apparently it's true.
You know what? I totally get it, because we're just saying a bunch of nonsense that doesn't even matter, nothing to add. It's going to drive you to write this post type shit.
To qualify, there are other people who have said the opposite, that they look forward to the first half and the meat and potatoes is whatever. So it runs the gamut.
You're stepping on my ramble. It's time to get into the meat and potatoes. Okay, that's the Gateway Snake Draft. We're going to pick the ultimate list of games to get yourself, your friends, your mom into board gaming. This is how you could do it. We're building the ladder for you. So you're welcome.
Yeah, let me set the parameters, Tom, and we'll go from there. I'll give you first pick. So we'll take turns, but then we'll flip like a snake. So you go, then I go, then I go, then you go. And we keep going back and forth like a snake. You can pick any game, with the exception of you cannot pick a game that the other person has already picked, and you have to pick a game that's shelf stable.
Of course.
Let's make it even more concrete. Let's say it's our brothers. It's like our brothers before we got into the hobby.
Okay.
They haven't played any of these games yet, and you're trying to get them into board games, and you just got into board gaming, we'll say. And, this can potentially take theoretical time over the course of multiple plays. We're not saying you only play the game once and you move to the next one. You're going to show this first game to them. That's going to be their first entry. The goal is to make it accessible enough and also enticing enough that they're like, oh, board games are cool. And then you hit them with the next game. So what's going to be the next game? If you make it too complicated, you're getting further along, but you're also potentially losing them. But if you make it too simple, you're going to have too many steps until you get to the end. And the goal is to get them to a really, really complicated game. Should we agree on what that game is at the end? What's our target?
Netrunner. I don't know. Eclipse?
What about T.I.?
I don't want people to have to play that. But 18XX, maybe maybe it all culminates in 1846.
Okay, all right. Let's do Shikoku.
Okay.
Because 1846, we're going to have an extra step, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so they're starting with Monopoly, and they're going to have to get to Shikoku.
1889 Shikoku.
You get first pick. What are you hitting him with first?
Well, this is interesting because, ultimately, it's going to get into a game that is, stocks and trains.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to pick a train-themed game here.
Yeah.
And I'm racking my brain for a level 1 train game. What possibly fits in that space? No, but it's funny because the obvious answer here would be Ticket to Ride. But we've literally said on this show before that Ticket to Ride is kind of like a doldrum in terms of pulling you into wanting to know what's next.
Yeah, it's like you play Ticket to Ride and then it's just you're playing Ticket to Ride.
People are going to be I don't get it. There's another sort of branch in the thought here, which is okay, are we doing a game that is so easy and quick to learn that there's going to be no resistance at all? When someone's fresh and they don't know you as the fucking board game guy that's always trying to get them to play some shit. Mm-hmm. It's they don't have any preconception about what you're going to do to them, right? So it's now would almost be the best time to try and get them into something that is a little bit crazy. But
you do whatever you want. The audience is your judge. I'm not going to say you're not allowed to do that. I'll have opinions on whether it's good or not. But this is the interesting part. We might have very different approaches. Yeah.
Man, I almost just want to go for the classic and just say Catan. Catan, but I feel it's not a true ideal level 1. It's close.
You think so?
It's almost level 2.
You think it's level 2? Interesting.
I'd be more likely to say something like no thanks or can't stop. There's almost not enough meat.
Yeah.
Either. It's so hard.
All right. Follow your gut. What's your instinct? Final answer.
All right. Pandemic, I guess.
Just one you haven't listed yet.
Yeah. Okay. The reason with Pandemic is that it's cooperative at the end of the day. A good Pandemic teacher will know that you don't play the game for them. You offer options and let them decide. You say, look, this is a good move and this is a good move, or we have to worry about this and we have to worry about that. And then they get to pick. And so, you're driving that agency, but when you hit, you don't tell them how the epidemics work until it just hits in the game, in my opinion.
And they go, oh,
and they go,
this
whoa,
game's
fuck.
crazy.
So I feel like that has the come back for more thing. And also if you lose, and if they theoretically had a good time because you did such a good job facilitating Pandemic, then it's like, yeah, let's play it again, right? And you lose together with them. So you don't, you avoid a lot of those
feel
awkwardness.
Bad.
Yeah.
I think those are good arguments. I have seen people get into it with Pandemic.
Where are you going that you're seeing so many people lose their board game virginity? What is this? How are you experiencing this that often?
I've played a lot of games with people who are not in games. So
all right, fair enough.
You didn't pick my pick, so I'm happy with that. Okay. I picked Carcassonne.
Shit, that's a good one. Damn.
I think it's easy enough. And the reason why is because the end goal is an 18xx, right? Let's get them doing the route building. Let's get the tile laying.
Yeah.
You're not only showing them a game that's going to get them hooked. I mean, there are people who they go and they buy every expansion and they just love this game.
Right.
But also you're giving them a fundamental building block to get to that 18xx game, if that's our end goal. So
yeah, damn. Honestly, that is such a fucking good pick. It's pissing me off because it's like Carcassonne has the thing that a lot of these much more chonkier games have, which is the tableau building out and billowing out, and you're just watching the land literally develop and change before your eyes. And that is what made things like Catan so satisfying, is that you just get to see this world get created. You feel like a fucking god, and it's so simple at the same time. God, man, yeah. and then you're right. It's a good lead into where we're trying to get. So yeah.
Well, thanks.
That's good.
All right, so I get to pick next. I think the second step is tricky because you could either go in a completely different direction to give them something else, or you can usher them along to keep them interested. So they're like, oh wow, board games are cool. I think it's better to give them something different, but that's about as accessible. And I know that you're not going to be as hot on this one, but I am going to propose High Society, because High Society is simple enough while being heady enough that it's getting them thinking about economics, but it's not breaking the bank. It's not going nuts. But right. I don't know that you're 100% sold on this one. I feel like you're more impressed with the Carcassonne pick.
It's not as good of a pick, but I see where you're coming from. I think High Society is totally reasonable. Step 2.
Is there another econ lightweight game? I guess maybe For Sale, but I don't know. Maybe For Sale might be better. No, I'm going to stick with High Society. I already said it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best thing, but I'm failing to think of a similar kind of game that would be a better pick here.
Well, that's good, because I was going to pick For Sale.
Oh, snap. Okay.
For Sale is it's exactly kind of what you were saying, which is basically it's a light game, but it's making people think about the economic strategies into auctions. And I feel like it's going to lead into some stuff that I already am thinking to pick later. But it's already getting you in the mindset of you got to manage that money. You can't be wasteful. But High Society does that in a similar way, just very different, right?
Yeah, High Society makes you think about others' money a little bit more. But For Sale, I think, has a higher hit rate.
Yeah.
I think For Sale is more likely for people to be like, oh, yeah, this is cool. So, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up between the two. I do think for both cases, this is a good step 2, because I wouldn't run High Society for sure in front of a person as their first game. But if they've already played Carcassonne, I'm you could probably do For Sale or High Society and it would hit.
I think really the hardest thing about For Sale is that it does not excite. titillate as readily as something like Pandemic. Even putting it level 2 is like maybe like kind of risky, but it's just sort of like it's there because you're sort of like riding the buy-in from Pandemic or Carcassonne.
Yeah. People are like, oh, I'm already sold that they're cool.
This is like the vegetables that come after the steak.
Yes. We're giving them the veggies so they can stay healthy.
Exactly.
But we got to bring him back. So what's your next pick? We're going to ramp it up, but also bring him back.
I think I'm going to do a Knizia classic. This is where I'm going to get the route building in through the desert.
Yes.
I think now they're ready for something like Through the Desert. They're ready for something cutthroat, mean-spirited. It doesn't have a lot in common with the first two that I've picked. But again, It's just sort of like we're running the gamut, really, and just sort of seeing like where things can go. And so now we're laying the groundwork for them to get ready for some train action down the line. But still keeping it light, still keeping it like fresh, but we're focusing more on tactics and strategy. It's getting punishing. You can't be asleep at the wheel or let the DM tell you what to do anymore. It's time to get serious.
Are you concerned that you might be going like too slow?
Slow.
Because like these are all like pretty light.
Maybe. I feel like I'm keeping it lean, but I feel like Through the Desert isn't necessarily too light yet. Yeah. But I kind of see what you're saying. I think we're going to jump things up soon.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you're just setting everything up so then you can hit higher quickly or something. Makes sense. Okay, I might be going too far up. So we'll see. Okay. It might be the opposite. Right. I'm picking Wingspan.
Okay. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah, I'm not feeling super confident about it. Here's the deal though. Wingspan, it's not one that is like as popular with like hardcore board gamers, but it really does hit good with people who are newer to games. And it's not like the first game they play, but like it's like one that they play as they're getting more into it. I think Wingspan can teach a lot of good fundamentals. Building your economy before going and trying to score points. And like thinking about multiple different avenues for scoring and things like that. It also introduces like passively affecting people, because up until now we've had very highly interactive games in Carcassonne and High Society, but now you have like a more passive interaction when it comes to like taking cards that people wanted, benefiting from other people's triggers when they give like a benefit, or when they do something that where, it triggers one of your birds. It's all very minute in terms of how it triggers. But I do think there's enough meat there. And plus, it's just like, it's a game that like, it doesn't scare people, right? You put Terraforming Mars in front of them, or you put like 51st State, or heaven forbid, Race for the Galaxy. These are all similar kind of card-based tableau builders. It's going to give them an idea of like the thinkiness of some of these more complex games, but they're going to be like, I don't want to play that. Whereas like Wingspan, you can kind of like surprise them with it. You'd be like, this doesn't look so bad. There's birds. I think that's why it's so popular too.
Right. It's a trick of the light.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That's where I'm thinking with Wingspan. You played a couple of games of Carcassonne. You've played High Society. They responded well to both of them. Hit them with the Wingspan.
Yeah. I see the strat. I think you're kind of right that it's like, you went from like the 2-footer in the pool, and then you threw them into the 5-foot. Yeah. And there's not a lot of segue between Carcassonne and High Society into Wingspan. I feel like you need to maybe shove gizmos in there first, or something like that. Good point, yeah. In order to really make sure it takes off. But that's like technically it's like if you're playing it safe. Maybe Splendor instead. I don't know, because then people are like, ooh, diamonds.
Yeah,
like,
but then maybe there's another factor. It's like our pleasure in this experience too.
Okay, fine.
Because then we got to play Splendor.
Well, then you can do Sagrada instead, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's better.
Where the focus is on like the puzzly tactical decision making, but it isn't yet quite so heavy on engine building specifically. But I don't know, because like you said, the Wingspan, just like, it's burbs. Like it's doing a lot of the groundwork for you.
I feel like Wingspan is kind of a cheat code where you can jump up in complexity without scaring people. Yeah. But I might be overvaluing it.
Probably. But I guess you get to go again. So yeah, after they played Wingspan with you, where are you taking them next?
We go straight to 1846. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there is an argument to be made for they have the economy down. They have like a more heady board game down. Let's just hit them with the power grid. Just go with power grid.
You bastard.
And I kind of suspected you were going to take it, so I'm taking it here. I do think power grid is like really, really solid entry into this line. And the fact that you're groaning about it, I'm like, yes, okay, I made the right pick. Because power grid is functionally a train route building game in disguise. Yeah. It has the auction from high society, so you're not like adding some, I guess it's slightly different, right? But like, you know, you're not throwing them into a completely uncharted territory, but you're still maintaining economy and then adding in a more train-based route. Yeah. But you've got the structure to play Power Grid at this point, and it's a game that hits really good with people who are earlier in the hobby, despite being surprisingly complicated. So some of the same reasoning as Wingspan. I do think you play Wingspan first, though. But I could I could see an argument for Power Grid then Wingspan, or just not doing Wingspan. But like, I still think Wingspan then Power Grid is the right play here.
Right. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to go Power Grid. I wasn't going to go Power Grid next. Weirdly, I was actually going to put that a little later on, essentially. But I'm going to have to pivot, and we're going to kind of not exactly backtrack, but we're going to find like this almost middle ground in Pan Am. I think this is famously like the only good game Prospero Hall's ever made. Pan Am, like, it's one of those games where it really does it all, but it is, I feel, just a bit rules heady enough, mostly on the route building. And then it also has an almost splatter level of meanness with how you can cut people off, but you're still auctioning all of these worker placement spots. There's just a lot of interesting decision making. There's a lot of value in understanding or appreciating the sequencing and positioning yourself so that your timing is working out really well. It's a game that teaches you to be good about timing, and you're managing stock values. Right. You're actually buying and selling stock, and so your wealth at the end of the game is determined by, you know, how much stonks you have.
I think this is a good pick. Yeah. It is funny that a lot of our picks are ones that we had listed in the Monopoly Killer tournament bracket.
Right.
But I guess that's not surprising, right? They're accessible. So
I think we said during that Pan Am is on like maybe the tougher side to kind of introduce people. But if people are really sold on the economics of Monopoly, if what they love most is auctions and money and owning, you know, having certificates of the game that prove ownership of things, Pan Am is like really good for that. And it's not completely unapproachable. It might be like, I mean, basically I'm playing this with a low and slow strat for sure. And I think Pan Am after Through the Desert makes sense to me, again, because it's continuing in that through line of mean-spirited, you know, cutting people off, cutting people out type stuff, but it's adding the economics from for sale back in.
No, that makes sense.
So then from Pan Am, I'm going to get them the Amabel special in Irish Gauge.
Oh no!
This really ties it like all together, doesn't it?
This was so my pick. Good.
Yeah. So now I get to sabotage your list a little bit. Don't worry, I think there's still room for you to fuck me up. But yeah, Irish Gauge just seems like the logical step up. You played Pan Am and you've played Through the Desert. You're like, okay, I get it. Like you got to cut people off. You got to make your route. You got to invest in your stock. You got to time your shit. And Irish Gauge puts all those skills to the test in a very deterministic, largely deterministic, I should say, mean-spirited on some ways, like way, bridges you into thinking about trains for realsies. So it's the culmination, right?
And the rules fit on a sheet of paper. That's another huge
And there's that.
part.
And it's lean. It is sharp.
Even with like Power Grid and Pan Am, you run into this issue of like, oh God, is this going to be another one of those complicated games where I don't understand anything? And like, you actually play and you're like, oh, it's fine. But like getting past that is a little tough. With Irish Gauge, you show them the sheet and they're just like, okay, I can do this.
Exactly. Yeah. Very friendly to the noob that we're rising through the ranks here.
I am trying to figure out where I go from here. So I think a really cheap shot would be to just pick a different cube rails. That's pretty low on rules. Like I could do like Wabash / Chicago Express, but that's not fun.
Sure.
For the sake of content, I'm going to pick something different. So This is probably a mistake. I'm just going to say it ahead of time. But because Irish Gauge was taken from me, I'm going to say Brass Lancashire.
Okay.
It's not my ideal pick, but I'm trying to figure out how do I bridge, because I do want to get to it sooner than later to our final goal. And I'm like, what's between Power Grid and 18XX? And I think Brass is definitely a step up from Power Grid. It's a game where like by the end of the first game, they're probably like, oh, this isn't that bad if they've played those other ones. I don't know. I'm probably jumping too much. I'm trying to speed run here and I'm like losing points in the process. But yeah, Brass is my pick, but more out of frustration because it would have been Irish Gauge.
Right. I'm assuming that Brass Lancashire eclipses the other Brass options as well. Like, we're counting them as basically the same game for the sake of this.
Yeah.
I guess you already kind of did that by throwing away cube rails in response. So yeah, fair enough. You get another one here. So, or is that... That's it, and then you're like you're ready.
I can't think of anything else. I probably should have put something else before Brass, but I think where I'm favored in this matchup is the speed. You're favored in the like scaffolding, so I'm just gonna commit and I'm gonna say we made it. We're playing Shikoku.
You're like time to dive in deep, guys. Here we go.
Yeah,
we're just gonna get the big thick one out. That's ultimately the problem that you're going to experience is that. We've done a lot of, shall we say, strength exercises, but I don't think any of the games that we've listed so far do a good job at kind of testing people's stamina. No stamina training involved.
Okay.
So I do kind of think like you got to work in one that, at least on my list, if you look at it so far, you got to put one in that's going to make them be like, I got to set the whole day aside in consideration for this.
I see.
So now Brass is a good pick, I think, for that. I was going to say Brass, and it was basically for all the same things you said. It felt like the natural next step in a lot of ways while still being train related. And then at the same time, it is stamina training. It's like you're going to be playing it for like 3 hours, like almost for sure. Right. Yeah, I think it hits all the right notes. In my ideal world, we're playing Brass next. But since I can't pick that, I'm kind of torn. But I think I'm just ultimately going to go for Eclipse.
I thought you were going to say Eclipse based on how you're setting it up.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. It's very different from the other games, but it kind of gives them a different flavor, which might keep them excited.
That's really like my biggest hang up really is that it's so flavorfully, thematically different. I mean, like, I guess a really strong runner up here is maybe Imperial Steam, because that carries over worker placement from Pan Am, while being like much more about, Imperial Steam's not shelf stable, I don't think. Oh shit. So yes. No, it is. It just turned it. Imperial Steam, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of a toss up. I suppose like the thing with Eclipse, kind of what you were saying, it's like it gives you such a big change of pace.
Right.
It's going to keep people engaged in theory. In I don't know. I guess we're doing this as like some sort of boot camp. Every game is played like each day over a week or something.
No, we can do multiple sessions.
I do like the idea of like it's board game boot camp, right? And so my list is literally 7 games. It'd be like 7-day vacation boot camp. You're going to play each of these games. I think Eclipse is like enough of a change up while still building on all the stuff that came before. You're not getting a lot of auctions, but it's opening the space up and it's letting people see another side of the hobby. And by now you've theoretically got the pacing down, the familiarity down with taking game actions and understanding the economics of these types of games, that even though you're bringing out the big box, you're telling them, like you're ready. And they're going to believe you because you've been through so much, and you're like, don't worry, like it's all going to come together. And I feel like Pandemic actually like bleeds over into this surprisingly well too. Like
I would agree. Yeah.
It's action selection at the end of the day. So yeah,
I was ready to like throw arms with you, honestly, but like I found myself just being like, yeah, I agree, or oh, that's a good pick, you know.
Yeah,
we picked a lot of the same things too. I feel like we're like on the same wavelength, which is kind of surprising. So
yeah, in a way. For me, it was like Pandemic for Sail Through the Desert, and then Pan Am, and then Power Grid, and then Irish Gauge, and then Brass, and then 18 Shikoku, like 18XX,
then
right?
Monopoly Deal.
And then Monopoly Deal, bring it all the way back around, and so they can understand the pinnacle of gaming, for sure.
Yeah, well, plus it's so complicated. They got to get ready for it.
There's a lot to consider.
Should we read the list?
Okay, yeah. What's your final list? What'd you come up with?
So my final list is Carcassonne into High Society into Wingspan. And then from Wingspan, we go Power Grid, Brass Lancashire, finally landing at Shikoku. So Shikoku in 6.
Okay. And I think that that's a solid route. I do still think that we're looking at a bit of a gap between High Society and Wingspan.
Yeah.
That's a tough jump that they're going to have to make.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm hoping that I've created a shallower grade, like a steadier slope. So we're going Pandemic into For Sale, into Through the Desert, into Pan Am, into Irish Gauge, into Eclipse, into 1889 Shikoku.
Shikoku in 7. Hey, 6,
Shikoku
7.
7. You can do it all in 1 week. 6 and 7. We nailed it.
We did it. We had to bring it back to shelf stabilisms at the end there.
Yeah, I love how shelf stabilisms just mean like we're just referencing whatever the fucking zeitgeist is at the moment. Like we're not inventing anything. We're just literally going like, did you see this?
Yeah, looking at these two lists, it's just a different approach, right?
Yeah.
Yours is like, okay, like let me hold your hand while we go through this. Whereas mine is like, we're doing this. Chop, chop.
Well, I think the true answer is literally kind of in the middle. I think the ideal list is forget Pandemic, just do Carcassonne into For Sale, into Through the Desert, into Pan Am, into Power Grid, into Irish Gauge.
Yeah.
Or in maybe the order of those could even be flipped, arguably, into Brass. And I think like you could substitute Brass with like any number of Thickum, like Cube Rail or 4X games. Like Brass could be Through the Ages. It could be Eclipse, right?
Right.
Like kind of almost anything. Is just, again, it's like about the stamina trading. It's about getting people something fresh. And then you're like, all right, once you've played this, you've played all games ever, right? We're doing the 100 games list, but stripping it down to like the top 10 or less than that, really. So
right.
Then you just play D&D and Magic with them and some other game and you're fucking done.
Yeah, the sequel to 100 Games Before You Die, 10 games before the end of the week.
Yeah, it's the perfect 7 games that I just listed, and then you just play D&D, Magic, and Warhammer, and that's it. It's like you play them all. Like that's all games.
You got them all. All right.
That's going to do it, more or less. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters. You can subscribe to us on patreon.com/shelfstablecast for free, by the way. But if you want to get access to unedited episodes and monthly bonus content as well, episodes such as recent episodes with Josh Burgle, the designer of The Fox in the Forest. If you want to listen to him and Kenny talk about music, you can subscribe on patreon.com. It helps us make the show the best thing that you can be listening to. I want to say thank you as well to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your cool segue music. And thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Raw as our opening theme.
Tell us what you thought about the episode. Did we nail it? Are we cooked? Whose list was better?
Are we chuggy?
You can also reach out directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. If you're loving the cast, share it with a friend or on Reddit or on BGG. Help by reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, following us on Blue Sky, or just hitting any thumbs up wherever you see one. All this and more available in the show notes. Tom, what are we doing next week?
Next week, Kenny, I think we're going to talk about fun versus optimization. When should you have flash and pizzazz, and when should you streamline?
And how it feels when they come into conflict.
Let's figure it out next week.
Bye.